Welcome everyone to the 30 Minutes of Excellence, brought to you by the Center of Excellence with NADUP as one of our partners. I'm Lisa Rice. I'm with Soffel Partners, and we are the lead on this grant. We love doing these sessions with you guys because we oftentimes hear back from you afterwards about, wow, that was cool. Can I have more? Can we, can you make sure I get that tool or whatever the case may be? And today we have a very special kind of 30 Minutes of Excellence. First of all, we have Doug Keast, who is here with us from National Disability Institute. They are actually one of our partners. Doug is one of our partners who works with us all the time. We have some really cool stuff that's going to come out from him about a 50-state scan, for instance, that you guys are going to be able to see later on in this year that will just kind of show you, hey, here's what's going on around the whole nation within registered apprenticeship kinds of things. But today he's going to be talking about system alignment in apprenticeship. And the reason why I said this is special is this is your teaser to a 3-part series that you're going to hear a little bit more about. And so, Doug, I want us to get going and just asking some questions of you. And folks, if you have questions, if you're like, ooh, he said something that I want to clarify or whatever, anything, just go ahead and toss it into the chat. You can do it into the general chat. If you're like, I don't want anybody knowing I'm asking this question because, send it to me. I never tell anybody's names except for maybe Paul's because Paul's a buddy. So there you go. So anyway, let's start us out with, first of all, the basics. Can you even tell me what you mean by systems alignment? What's it about?
Well, thanks, Lisa. It's really about how expertise comes together from different critical entities, or what we like to call system drivers, to develop and sustain responsive activity. Wioa has a vision for customer service, whether we're referring to business services or job seeker services. The crux of this is that workforce system customers should not have to understand and navigate the myriad of funding streams and eligibility requirements, or recognize the names of up to 15 different employment and training related agencies and programs in a community in order to get the full benefit of the services that are available to them. Those of us that are program managers, we have to be honest and recognize that a lot of our professional staff in different programs have difficulty with all of this. So it seems like it's not a good idea to make the challenge of sorting through this the responsibility of those folks that we serve. In WIOA guidance, this service challenge is placed on the system as a whole to work out these complexities behind the scenes and respond to a customer in a single voice. This is a service vision in which apprenticeship is included, given the guidance from the Department of Labor. I hope you don't mind if I refer here to guidance from the Department of Labor, which is relevant to apprenticeship in WIOA's vision for customer service. Back when the Workforce Investment Act was in place in 2006, the Department of Labor released the Training and Employment Notice, or 17-06, on the vision for 21st century apprenticeship. This guidance to the field expanded the customer service vision in WIA to include apprenticeship and ensure that what we refer to as 21st century apprenticeship is included as a critical post-secondary education and training option available through the one-stop delivery system, or American Job Centers, AJCs, as they were starting to be called then. The Department of Labor wished to impress upon state and local workforce leadership the importance of apprenticeship as a method for building a skilled and competitive workforce to meet business needs. In this guidance, the Department of Labor included vision components and examples. In 2007, Department of Labor followed this with the Training and Employment Guidance Letter, or TEGL, 02-07, named Leveraging Registered Apprenticeship as a Workforce Development Strategy for the Workforce Investment System. Workforce leaders from the field had claimed that regulations prohibited the use of Title I and other resources to support participants in apprenticeship programs. This 2007 guidance repeated the promotion of the inclusion of registered apprenticeship in responsive workforce strategies and explained the flexibilities available in the system. It went on to provide guidance on how resources can be used to support participants in apprenticeship. This TEGL was followed 5 years later in 2012 with the Training and Employment Notice 44-11, which was very specific in outlining how the guidance in the 2007 TEGL applies to the alignment of the Title I programs with apprenticeship strategies and how the program resources can be used to support participants in apprenticeship. And I apologize by bringing up these different TEGLs and TANs. I've just got two more to mention here. Just one more. In January 2017, after WIOA was implemented, TEGL 13-16, the guidance on registered apprenticeship provisions and opportunities in the WIOA again clarified provisions for apprenticeship in the Workforce Innovation and Opportunities Act. Opportunities with apprenticeship for businesses and job-seeking customers should be easily accessible and supported by the workforce system. Aligning services from a customer service perspective requires that programs take a customer-centered design approach together in considering the customer experience and using the customer's perceptions to improve the service experience. The importance of alignment is this. Each program brings different expertise and resources to bear, and the degree to which that diverse expertise can be seamlessly available to a customer reflects service alignment. Making a referral elsewhere is alignment, but on a low level. Being able to engage a customer with the needed expertise on demand reflects a high level of alignment.
Excellent, Doug. And I'm going to repeat these just real quick because I think people should write these down. 10, TEN, 1706. It's a huge one for you to know about. The TEGL 0207, another really big one. There's another 10, 44-11. And then the one that I go to almost all the time right now is the TEGL 13-16. I swear to God, I have that one bookmarked, highlighted, underlined. And if it does not say thou shall not, then thou shall.
Okay.
So with all of that in mind, why on earth would a state or workforce development board, local workforce development board, care about this kind of system alignment? I know you gave us all the federal guidances with Wioa and stuff, and yeah, you know, people can read those guidances and kind of blow them off, right? So why should they even be interested in this system alignment?
Well, you are correct. WIOA does require what is referred to in joint guidance as an integration of customer service. And the follow-up guidance I referenced and you referred to encourages states to make apprenticeship a part of this. Our difficulty is that service integration is not defined in tangible terms for leadership. We hear about examples, but there's not a hard and fast definition that tells us what it should look like and feel like in our operation. Different entities have their own ideas about what integration or what alignment means, and they don't often come together to define what that is. This is a problem because you can't align a system if the entities to be aligned don't define it together and work toward that desired alignment together.
So that's like herding cats, and every cat wants to go a different direction. So you got to bring them together to get that alignment, right?
Yeah, and we have seen that no matter what you have in guidance, it's how people come together. Consensus is important.
Yeah,
to do that. And in this frame, we still recognize that there's indicators of disconnect between the systems. It's interesting that While apprenticeship is often referred to as the gold standard of career pathway activity because individuals are engaged in self-sustaining employment activity while receiving training with pay increases at completion, in 2021, only 19 out of every 100,000 WIOA Title I adult dislocated worker and youth program participants were engaged in apprenticeship. So with all of this guidance to workforce leadership nationally, you might think that there would be more momentum with systems to expand and support opportunities to meet local business needs with apprenticeship. But there are still disconnects where it becomes a part of customer service with both business and job seekers. For workforce systems, apprenticeship programs are not programs in the same sense as the core and required programs specified in WIOA as required to make their services available through the American Job Center statutorily. So it's something that requires a little bit more focus.
It requires leadership that is interested in actually wanting to do apprenticeship, because like I said, you can read these Tegels and everything else, and you can just like walk away from them and say, I'm not going to do it if you don't want to do it. So you're right. It requires this leadership here. All right. So I am certain that you have got some good examples of system alignment within some of the states now that, you know, is centered all around registered apprenticeship. So I'm very interested to hear what you have for us.
Well, and absolutely, and you mentioned the state plan review that we did earlier. Our team with the Department of Labor's Apprenticeship Center of Excellence on Strategic Partnerships and Systems Alignment reviewed the unified and combined plans for all states, the 2020 plans, and picked out a couple of practices or indicators of intentional alignment activity for the purpose of expanding apprenticeship in states. You'll find eventually on our web portal, you'll find the final report of those findings. And again, Lisa had mentioned that earlier. And we look forward to being able to announce that in the coming months. One of the practices that we noted was in the service design of placing apprenticeship expertise directly in the American Job Center customer services to facilitate the engagement of job seekers into apprenticeship opportunities and to include support to businesses in establishing apprenticeship within their business services teams. We noted this effort at some degree in 16 of the state plans. In 17 of the state plans, we found the establishment of a state-level work group or committee to the State Workforce Board with a focus on the implementation of collaborative strategies to expand apprenticeship. What is important about these efforts is that they engage multiple key system drivers in leadership roles together, and the activity is not then led by a single driver with the intention of leveraging the others.
Okay, so you've brought in a new term here for us. So you've mentioned system drivers. What are these?
Well, in our review and analysis of the state plans, we noted that the range of potentially relevant players and stakeholders in apprenticeship expansion is very wide. For purposes of developing workable strategies for leadership and support, we identified 4 key system drivers that exist in every state and remain essential to apprenticeship as a strong skill pipeline design. These include, of course, the first one is the business, businesses, business sectors, intermediaries, entities that represent the business needs for skills and talent. Secondly, training providers, those entities that provide that related training and instruction that complement the work experience provided in the apprenticeship activities. Thirdly, and it's a key one for a lot of us on this call, the state workforce system itself, including those programs identified as core and required partners in WIOA. And fourthly, the Federal Apprenticeship Program or State Apprenticeship Office, depending on how the state is set up for approving and supporting apprenticeship programs, and the Apprenticeship Advisory Council, of course, in states where there is a state apprenticeship office. A strong state approach in apprenticeship will engage representation of each of these 4 drivers in a leadership role. Because each of these drivers can be very diverse internally, identifying the most effective representation of that driver can be a challenge sometimes. So often it is beneficial to include multiple representation from a driver in leadership. Often, also, it is useful to include other key stakeholder representatives in leadership. For instance, if the focus of the expansion effort is in the engagement of a particular sector of the community, such as people with disabilities, veterans, or those dependent upon public support, there are key stakeholder representations that can contribute to leadership to strengthen that initiative.
And, I love that you brought in the other key stakeholders, because we happen to know through the work that the center has been doing that vocational rehabilitation has now got a pretty strong push on to get their folks, their customers, into registered apprenticeships. So if you have not sought out your local VR office and have not started that conversation about how can we join together on apprenticeship, now's the time, because they are looking for how do they do this, what do they do. Some of them already know what they do and all that good stuff, but others are looking for that partnership. So I'm really glad that you brought them in there, Doug.
Well, and in mentioning that, if I could interrupt
Yeah.
for a second, and you should be looking at them as part of the workforce system.
Oh, yeah.
Too, as a part of, but if you've got your labor leadership, and you could include the VR leadership as well.
Yeah. Yeah, very important, very important. All right, so if these drivers are in actually every single state, which obviously are the 4 that you mentioned here, then what is it exactly about their alignment that makes a difference to us actually implementing an apprenticeship initiative or program? Why do they make a difference?
It is 2 things, really. One is the sense that they have an investment in the outcome, that they're contributing their expertise and effort, that they have a role in determining the desired outcomes with the other drivers and share those outcomes. They've got skin in the game. We see it as a leadership role as opposed to a leveraged role. It's okay to have a key driver in a leveraged role, but it is helpful for the others in the leadership roles to understand and recognize that in this case, they're not engaging the expertise of that driver in planning. And you may need to make accommodations for that as you think about sustainability. As a former service provider myself, I do get a little vexed when an entity sees the value of a program in terms of their funding. As a former program reviewer, for me, it was deflating to see a case manager or a career counselor with that same point of view. Each of these professionals bring a level of expertise to the table, which the professionals of the other programs don't have. And every initiative should value and engage this in achieving sustainable system partnership and results. The second thing is the level of alignment that the drivers in the effort share. Are they communicating, coordinating, collaborating, or are they integrated in their planning and working toward a stronger system together? I've heard people say that because they have a coffee meeting with a group once a month that they're integrated. Well, this usually isn't true.
They're just enjoying coffee, right? We're having coffee, we're integrated, yeah.
We're tight, we're like this.
Yeah.
But if they're not sharing information about what they're doing related to their common ground, then they might not even be communicating. Like you said, they're having coffee.
Yeah.
Communication, where we're concerned here, is a level of alignment. It's relevant to the sharing of information about each entity's service activity and events. It can be a sharing of flyers or simply a regularly scheduled meeting to exchange relevant service information and have coffee. Coordination is a higher level of alignment in which key entities will come together for a specific reason or event to pool their resources to meet a shared objective. Perhaps an intermediary may exchange several or engage several local workforce development boards to meet a particular need for a business. Or the apprenticeship office may engage a workforce system in a job fair type of event with a special emphasis on apprenticeship opportunities in an area. Collaboration is a step in which the drivers begin to plan together on a higher plane. It can be for a specific initiative or a single purpose. in which they develop a plan to meet an objective for an initiative together. Each of the entities assume a leadership role for the group where their expertise is most relevant. Integration, it's a level in which entities operate as a single entity in all respects. They establish and share the same objectives. They implement activity together and consistently blend their expertise and resources to meet their shared objectives. In our experience, through WIA and WIOA implementation, we've learned that you can't legislate partnership. Inspired federal and state policy is important, but it'll always be up to the quality and character of the leadership at the state and particularly the local level that makes the difference between isolated program responses and more aligned or collaborative responses.
Awesome. And I'm going to give you a time check, Doug. We have about 9 minutes left. So, and I do know we have a couple of questions still that I want to get to. So with all of this, how can a leadership team act from across these different drivers actually assess and improve their system alignment?
Well, since alignment isn't universally and tangibly defined, and since there are remarkable differences in service cultures and business needs across the country, it's good to use a structure for defining alignment for each leadership team or group to begin with. It's important to include the participation of the strongest representation of the key drivers that can be assembled in leadership roles. Our experience with assessment is that it's done together. So there's agreement of status, agreement of whether it will be beneficial to improve alignment, or even if alignment is fine and we're good where we're at. Even if the coordination level might be where you need to operate to meet the needs of your customers. We recommend the use of an assessment tool or structure that can be a focus for discussion among your leadership team and a foundation for addressing a need for change if you agree that there is a need. And we've developed an assessment design that's based on a tool that's been used with workforce systems through the Workforce Innovation Technical Assistance Center. And it's being adapted to be more broadly used with state apprenticeship expansion leadership planning. And we're currently developing a toolkit. And as you mentioned, Lisa, we'll be talking a little bit more about that in the webinars coming up. But using this structure or structure like it, together a leadership team can establish a shared idea of how alignment should exist for the success of the initiative in a way that's sensitive to the existing service culture and structure, as well as for the needs of the businesses and the targeted population in your communities. A vision of desired service alignment will not be the same in every state and community because of your differences.
That's right. So we've kind of given you a very general idea here today about what it takes. You've got your 4 drivers. You should look at those Teagles we gave to you guys. And there's an alignment or assessment tool to get yourself moving. And this is where we get to announce that we have a 3-part webinar series that begins in August. It'll be on the Not Up platform. As a matter of fact, I believe at least the first one is out there for August, maybe September and October are there too. I highly suggest that you go and register because what we're going to be doing, Doug, yay, and also a few guest speakers, hopefully. I know we have one, we may have more, that are going to come in and they're going to go through this tool with you guys and show you the tool and give you the ideas of here's how you start, here's the steps you can take. We will also have that tool available for you to walk away with, as well as a few other little like case studies and goodies that we're going to toss in as well. So the 3-part series, we literally looked at it and said, can we do this all in one? Oh, heck no. Can we do it in 2? It would probably be very cramped because we want you to have some interaction and conversations with us on these. So we put it into 3 different ones. We will talk about system alignment for apprenticeship strategies. Again, we'll show you through this whole assessment toolkit. Doug's going to talk more about that leveraged leadership stuff and the aligned leadership as well. So our first one is August 17th. And then we have one on September 14th and one on October 19th. And again, if you just go to the Not Up website, you should be able to sign up for those right away, free. We'll talk about some leadership roles in the first one, how those drivers, may be represented, and how you start to work together for consensus. And so that's your very first one, is just kind of setting the stage with who needs to be at the table and what does it look like when they are at the table. So Doug, did you want to add anything to what I've just said there?
Oh, I think you covered it very well, Lisa. There is one thing I'd like to add, though. If some of you are interested in this and you happen to find yourself on a leadership team or a leadership group that's developing or overseeing an apprenticeship initiative, we'd invite you to bring your colleagues that are on the team with you, and maybe
Absolutely.
it might spark a useful discussion for you.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, Doug. Yes, we would. And Amanda put into the chat the link for the registrations. So nice and easy. You don't have to go search. She's got it right there for you. Does anyone have any questions from what you've heard today, or anything that you're like, I didn't understand what he said or whatever? Just, you can come off mute and ask, or I think you can still come off mute, or you can type it into the chat too if you want. Any questions? Okay, guys, I hope that you found this useful. I'm going to give you back about 3 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes into your day. And I hope that we get to see you in August 17th, for our next piece on this series. It will be an hour long, so you are going to get more information in that hour. And again, tools, things like that will be coming to you as well. We appreciate you being here with us with the Center of Excellence in the 30 Minutes of Excellence. And we will see you hopefully in August for that, but we'll also see you in August for another 30 Minutes of Excellence. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Take care.
Have a
Bye.
great day.